Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia. The chances of the probability of China invading Taiwan actually have risen due to recent development in the geopolitics, in the economics, because of Trump's trade war that he has started, particularly targeting China. So DPS projection right now for the China invasion of Taiwan is now at 50%. Previously, I always say that the chances of China invading Taiwan is super low because of various factors like there is no guarantee of a absolute victory, and then the possibility of massive economic fallout, like they're getting embargoed and by most of the world, particularly led by United States, because usually just like what they have done to North Korea, when or what they have tried to do to Russia, where the aggressor invaded another country, United States will then lead the way to make sure that they will destroy the economy of the aggressor country, and China is worried about that. However, because of the trade war, it looks as if like even without China invading Taiwan, this is about to happen or going to happen, is moving in that direction. So the probability of this invasion, it has now risen because the China may find it useful to actually invade Taiwan. So this is actually a new segment on the DPS website. I'm not sure if you have ever gone to the DPS website before, defensepoliticsasia.com. And previously, we have this focus. We used to have this focus. We have the Ukraine map, the Ukraine topic, Israel, Palestine, Myanmar. Although I didn't manage to spend a lot of time on to focus on that. Other than just doing reporting on Ukraine war. This is a new segment. It's called projections. So basically, I project the probability of something happening. And it also good to have this as a place, an archival place or something to keep track of what I tell you guys. So rather than I told you so and then you do not show what I told you. Yeah, this will basically start to indicate most of these projections on the website, and there will be more of this. This is the first one. There will be probably other stuff like probability of an invasion of Yemen, to deal with the Houthis, probability of of the peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, maybe, and of course focus pages will remain. And there will likely to be a new focus page focusing on the trade war, the economic situation. So a lot of things I planned and really wanted to do. So hopefully I have the energy to keep up with this. And the rest of this, the general categorization is now under news. So just in case you were wondering, if you are familiar with the website. So scrolling down, you will see this is the initial what we have right now. And there is some projections. So the keystone development, the biggest development right now is basically the Trump administration. Let me zoom in a bit. The Trump administration taking action to redefine the US-led world trading and economic order. So earlier, like a week ago, so Donald Trump have announced on the so-called Liberation Day that they're gonna slap reciprocal tariff on everyone. Initially, I always thought that the reciprocal tariff is actually talking about if tariff how many percent on certain products and goods on China on United States, then United States will probably copy and paste it to do the same. Apparently, they are not targeting the tariff; they are targeting the trade balance. So the reciprocal tariff is actually referring to targeting trade imbalances, and even if you have if United States have a positive trade balance with the country, like with Singapore, we actually buy more American stuff than Americans buy Singapore stuff, we still get slapped by a 10% tariff, which means what we have is actually a minimum of 10% tariff on all countries. That's what the United States have done. The tariff on China right now with this new reciprocal tariff is now at 54%. So this is going to put tremendous pressure on Chinese imports into United States. This is crazy, which means that a $10 thing will now cost $15.40, or $15 depends. Depend on I'm not sure if it's applied across the board on all products, but the 35% increase is across the board. So, and this trade action, this new thing, the aim is to reset the rules of what the US-led international economic and trading system will be. So the previous economic system was also set by the United States. They say that United States will have zero tariff. They want to make everybody open up and trade, and they allow basically every country to have the certain level of tariff. So basically, United States underwrites the growth of the whole world, and in return, what United States have is the US dominance, the US dollar dominance. They also have the ability for the American companies to offshore their stuff, to build factories overseas, and so that the corporations earn even more money, driving up the stocks. This have reached the end of its lifespan. This system does not work anymore for the Americans, and we reach a point where we have been talking about a managed decline for United States for the past more than 10 years, actually, since the Obama era. So it's probably 15 years of talk about managed decline of United States. This is because of this economic system that the US have created and got everybody to buy in. Of course, everybody was happy to buy in because they do the mathematics. They know it's good for them. Now Donald Trump is resetting the rules. So this is what is actually happening. And what the tariff is, of course, clearly not these numbers is not the main tariff, not the main aim. It's just a way to force people into negotiations with the Trump administration. And this is literally what Trump said as well. Trump literally said that this tariff is good to get everybody to talk to him, and they are very happy. They talk about like 50 over countries have already contacted the White House to talk, to do trade negotiations. So most likely, almost all countries, I hear right all, but most likely most countries, I don't think, maybe some countries may not, like China, may not, to enter negotiation with Trump. And however, China retaliated against the Liberation Day tariff by announcing 34% tariff on all US goods. And this is on top of the current 10 to 15% on certain products. So certain products right now will have up to 49% tariff. So the US tariff from China is still higher, is because of previous tariff, which is already 20% announced in the earlier of the year, adding on to the 35% is now at 54%. So our projection is that we believe that this is the aim. The Trump's aim is actually to prevent Chinese goods to avoid tariff from the via third countries, because that's exactly what China has been doing. After the initial tariff during the Trump's first term have started, a lot of the companies starting to export via Vietnam. The Chinese goods go from Vietnam, go from maybe Malaysia, some other countries, and particularly Mexico and Canada, to enter into the United States tariff free. So that became a problem. So Trump administration probably is now wanting to force every country to either cut or reduce trade with China, in order to prevent Chinese goods from running away from the tariff. If not, then the tariff will be pointless. The entire economic pressure that the United States is putting on China is to force China into economic reform, to bring them more in line with the international norms. So just like China have its own internet culture, internet system. Like they are very detached from the rest of the world. Their market is rather close. It's very hard to move money in and out of China. So all these things is they want to force the reform. About of course China have its good reasons not to do all these things, because once they open up everything, then there will be a massive risk of capital flight. They have to adhere to IP rules, intellectual property rules and everything. So China have its own reasons to protect themselves, and I'm not saying it's right and wrong, no, but that's just what they do. So this will force all the countries, particularly Mexico, Canada, Vietnam, Indonesia, to cut or reduce trade, or risk having the tariff at a very high number. So this high number, of course, is very arbitrary, but if it stays, it's going to be very damaging for the countries. So the other developments was that in regards, because we're not talking about generally just the trade war, but it's mainly why China is going to invade. The possibility of China invading Taiwan is also because the United States is now also already putting their eyesight on the Chinese. So they have now put the deterring China from invading Taiwan as a military priority right now. So there are various things that are mentioned about this, like a confidential Pentagon memo. Can I even make it bigger? So this is bigger. So there's confidential Pentagon memo talking about the military priority for the Americans is to deter Chinese takeover of Taiwan. So they have proposed to reallocate defense resources and increase funding for commands focusing on China. Pete Hegseth also have said that USA no longer primarily focus on European security, and emphasize that European nations have to assume greater responsibility for their own defense. So this shift will allow US to reallocate military resources towards addressing challenges in Asia, particularly China's growing influence. JD Vance also said the same thing in the 2024 Munich Security Conference, saying that the US must prioritize East Asia and the Europeans must increase spending to ensure their own security. So, and the US is adjusting this role of its forces stationed in South Korea, shifting focus from deterring North Korea to address broader regional challenges concerning China. So these are all the various developments that is showing that the Americans are moving their focus towards China, and we believe that we're going to see increased military deployment to US bases in the Asia Pacific in the very near future. So that means more forces, more troops, more equipments, more fighter jets, more navy will be deployed to Asia Pacific region. So however, this is unlikely to happen immediately because there is other pressing security issues that the United States is now focusing on, particularly the Houthis in Yemen, as well as their geopolitical problems with Iran. So currently the redeployment seems to be moving towards Middle East for now, the Persian region and the Persia region, but the eventual redeployment to Asia Pacific is likely to happen for sure. For now, the priority for United States is to resolve Iran and the Houthis first. So we will see what the Americans going to do in regards to Houthis. Iran is very vague because the idea is just generally to prevent them from having nuclear weapon. Everything else is negotiable for the Americans. For the Houthis situation, the idea is just for the Houthis to stop firing at container ships. If the Houthis can play ball with that, then they may avoid a land invasion, because currently what we have is the Americans doing airstrikes. Area campaign can only do so much. You still need to send troops onto the ground, and that is still actually doable. But we shall see whether the Americans will do that or not. The Americans would love to not need to do that, because a land invasion or a operation on the ground is always more dangerous. But the Americans have done it before with Afghanistan. A lot of people are very pro-Houthi, and they say that the Houthis have defeated the Saudis and whatnot. The Saudis are not the Americans. If the Saudis are that good, they don't need American troops or bases or protection. They are not that good. The Americans is a different breed. So it's just like you're saying that um, the Russians is comparable. I mean the Georgians or the Armenians are comparable to the Russian military. It's not. It's not comparable to the Russian military. So similarly, Saudi military is not comparable to the American military. So the Americans have done before difficult, mountainous warfare in Afghanistan. They have done it before. Fighting in Yemen is going to be very, very similar. So it's going to be very, very gray zone-ish, very, very, a lot of hidden stuff. So, but let's hope that we not see that happen. And hopefully, the airstrike will stop. The Houthis will be willing to negotiate somewhat. But we do not know what's the main thing. But I think the Americans were going to stop it, going to solve the issue as soon as possible, because if they can stop it, it will bring back American prestige. They will increase American prestige in the sense that they can act as the world police to underwrite, global international shipping security. And that is very important, because if America can do it, then the whole world will have more trust in US-led international trading order. So if they cannot do it, then everybody will have less faith in the Americans, and less faith in anything that the America leads. It's very important. This is not is a very big issue actually. So we come back to the major projection. So all these projections will be left on the page. I'll eventually all this will be also in a separate news article that will be posted on DPS website. Probably I will replicate it on X and also on Telegram. But generally, this is what I have on the website. Everything will be archived, so you can always keep track to my projections or what I say. You can always fact check me, and we see how these things goes. There's no point. I find it is pretty pointless to argue with everybody and say that I do not know anything. Like, yeah, when time passed, we know. A lot of things I said about Ukraine war actually all came true. So this, particularly regarding to how the Europeans will treat the Ukrainians, how the Ukrainians will actually treat the Europeans, how the real effort the Europeans put into Ukraine, everything all came true. So we shall see how this develops. So the risk of China invasion of Taiwan is increasing. So the New World Order by Donald Trump via international trade and economic reform have a very strong leaning towards isolating China or force China to reform its economic policy. So China is unlikely and possibly literally unable to accede to any of the demands of Trump due to internal economic situations. So China's economy, as I have reported before, is not in a very good shape. Despite the numbers, all the surface things, is not in a good shape. All you see is trade numbers. But the positive export is the only thing positive about China's economy. Everything else is actually quite poor. So the housing market is the bubble has burst. There's still a lot of debt, a lot of unaccounted debt on the provincial, local level, on the ground level, a lot of grey debts, that is not accounted for. And so things is very bad in China actually. So you can try to talk to China citizens, ask them about how is it at home, how are their friends doing, how their families are doing. Ask them yourself. You don't need to just listen to me. Because this reality that the Chinese people in China, a large number of them is struggling. In fact, a huge amount of the population is struggling, is a reality. I'm not making things up. That's why I say you can talk to Chinese citizens yourself. You don't have to trust me on that. The Chinese economic stability and growth, as I mentioned, is entirely now underpinned by the enormous export numbers. And these export numbers will have to continue to keep up. I have mentioned this in another video. They have to keep this export up in order to keep up with economic growth, servicing of the debt, and to keep jobs, to keep the economy going. Because without it, then the job situation is going to get worse. And if the job situation get worse, that means people is going to have lesser money. Then they're going to go into the same problem that the Americans have. Like they have no jobs, no higher unemployment. Then it will affect local consumptions, then domestic consumptions, and everything will just go to shit. So this is why the tariff is going to damage China doubly hard versus any other country, because they are so dependent on the export situation. Because internal domestic economy is already quite shitty, so a reduction of the export is going to damage China doubly hard. So, and this comes to a big problem. Like I mentioned, China has resisted invading Taiwan because of the trading with the rest of the world, and also because they need to maintain this image, and to prevent and to avoid being embargoed by the entire world, to get the trade cut off, because that will just be end game for China. However, this is seemingly coming true with Trump's election. Trump is now rebuilding the US military again. He have reinvigorated the military recruitment. Then he's also ordering massive investment into US military, including the buying of the production of the F-47, and that's just only the one that Trump has revealed. I'm 100% sure many of these military productions and military developments is under wrap. No, Donald Trump is definitely not going to say everything in the open. F-47 is just a PR statement. Generally speaking, they 100% they will be building a new aircraft, but they are definitely a lot of military stuff that United States is now going to go into production, which is kept quiet, is kept in secret. So this is definitely the case, because Trump is also preparing for war, because you have to prepare for war so that there will be no war. If you don't prepare for war, then war is almost a certainty. So this is and of course reinvestment in shipbuilding. He literally created a new department focusing on shipbuilding. So a lot of and of course the bringing back of the manufacturing to United States is also to prepare for war, because if you do not have manufacturing capabilities, you do not have the factories, then in wartime you do not have the capability to actually convert civilian factories into war factories. So this is all part of the game. So as such, China's military advantage over the Taiwanese Strait will be dropping with each passing month. As time goes by, with each delay in this decision to invade Taiwan, the military gap will start to close again. China currently have the absolute military advantage in this Taiwan situation right now, because of the denial of operation, the denial of zone of operation with all these standoff weapons like the surface to ship missiles, the increased number of aircraft, increased number of naval ships. So what China right now have is actually an absolute military advantage. It's very difficult for United States to actually help Taiwan right now. If the war starts now, it's super hard for United States to help Taiwan. Very, very difficult. United States may suffer great losses just to get in range to help Taiwan. So it's right now, China have absolute advantage. But the problem is that with each passing month, with each new military technological development and new military equipment entering US service, new ships, new submarines or whatnot coming into the US Navy, then this advantage may start to be grind away. So, and of course, US have not deployed everything into the Asia Pacific yet. So more redeployment will mean more US forces in the region. But that also will take time. As I mentioned, there are other pressing issues the US military need to deal with first. But this advantage the Chinese have will start to reduce month by month. And if the economic situation gets heavily hit due to this no trade war by Donald Trump, and successfully get other countries to cut or reduce trade with China. And when I say reduce trade, it could simply be because all these Chinese companies products that they try to go by a third country to go into United States to avoid tariff. This is the main thing that I'm talking about, generally speaking. So a lot of countries will just simply cut off the trade in regards to this kind of arrangement. This alone will damage China a lot. It will reduce China's export number a lot. So, and it will create a lot of internal problems for the Chinese Communist Party. And if economy is any more worse, then the government decision to invade Taiwan will become very unpopular, because people will be like thinking, my life is shitty right now. Why are you still talking about war? Why not solve the economic issue first? But when things are better, people are feeling confident and proud, and then more nationalistic, then an invasion of Taiwan would be more palatable. People will be more likely to say, no, of course, go for it. We are China, we are very strong. Taiwan should return to us. So there is a possibility. So which means that the time frame for China to invade, to do an invasion, will be when the popular support will still be there. So before economic problem occur. And this economic problem might come very, very quickly because of this massive trade war. A lot of negotiations with the United States still need to be done. So there's still some time. There will still be months, at least 2-3 months time that one by one all the countries will negotiate with China. So it's not going to be all done within a day or a week. So this economic pressure, this potential situation where United States force countries into reducing trade with China will take time to develop. So the window, the time frame for China to invade Taiwan is before all this economic heat comes. So and invading Taiwan is not all bad, for China. So if they suddenly attack Taiwan, then this will become a massive disruption to geopolitics, to world trade. And this will throw everything into chaos, just like what Donald Trump has done by announcing this reciprocal tariff. It throws the whole world into chaos, and through chaos there is ability to there's opportunities. China could do the same. By going to war with Taiwan, they can create new opportunities for Taiwan to get out of this trap that Trump is setting up. So this is very similar to the COVID-19 situation. So I'm not sure how many of you guys were aware of. In 2020, in January, China was struggling to get to avoid the trade war and trying to avoid Trump's wrath. And in January they agreed to sign the trade deal, and they actually signed the trade deal while COVID-19 was storming within China. And China deliberately, through the weaponization of the World Health Organization, forced statements to come out of WHO to continue to not condemn international flights from China to every other country. While within China itself, the whole country has already shut down. The whole country, domestic flights has all been cancelled. All the roads cancelled, railway line cancelled. There's no more traveling between towns, cities, and provinces in China. But they keep saying that flights from China should be continued to be able to fly out of China to other countries. That was the weaponization of COVID-19. And so that to make the COVID-19 become a global issue. And that was successful. And when COVID-19 go global, it became a global issue. It resets everything. Global trade, went into chaos. Politics in every country went into chaos, and that includes the United States. And because of COVID, Donald Trump lost the election. Largely, that's the main thing, because that will become it became an issue that the Democrats, the opposition to Donald Trump, can weaponize on. So they used the COVID-19 trade numbers and all this all these COVID-19 measures that Trump's administration have initiated against Trump. So Trump lost. That's one thing. And of course, the mail-in ballots, of course. So China can use a war in Taiwan in a very, very similar way. By having an invasion of Taiwan, then Trump will be put in the very negative spot, because Trump ran on this campaign, on this idea that he's anti-war, he's pro-peace, and he will not start any war. And generally, he said that his first time he didn't start any war. And he also ran on this situation where he do not want to put US troops in harm's way. But when an invasion of Taiwan happens, then Trump will be in this very difficult position to whether to militarily help Taiwan or not. And if he don't, US lose prestige. He will still lose the election, because Democrats can then point finger to Trump for not saving a ally or a partner or a friend or a democratic country. But then if he runs, if he sends forces to help Taiwan, same thing, the Democrats can point to Trump saying that he broke his promises, he's a warmonger, he caused all this situation, he caused the war to happen. So there is no win for Trump if a war happened in Taiwan. This is why an invasion of Taiwan can be weaponized by China to fight back against this trade war. And if that happened, then the entire campaign to reorganize the economic order will be thrown into chaos. Every country will be forced into taking sides in this conflict, and it may be advantageous for China because of what is already happening in Ukraine. With this new BRICS alignment, China could potentially weaponize Taiwan into reinvigoration of BRICS. So there is a lot of potential geopolitical play over this. So, and another thing about this is that the invasion of Taiwan can also test US resolve. Will they actually defend Taiwan? Similarly, it will also test the resolve of all the neighboring countries. Will South Korea defend Taiwan? Will Japan defend Taiwan? Will Southeast Asian countries like Philippines or even Singapore help out, and answer the call to United States, to answer United States call to help out in the war against China? Will they do it? Will Indonesia go in and help to push the Chinese out of South China Sea in the event? Because the war is not going to be in Taiwan. Once there's a war on Taiwan, then South China Sea will become a war zone. So it's the Chinese Air Force and Navy will not do nothing in the South China Sea. So it will be spread across to the South China Sea as well. So will the Southeast Asian countries help the United States, or will they do nothing? Because they don't necessarily need to side with the Chinese to fight the Americans. Simply doing nothing is already siding the Chinese. And if that happens, and the entire regional arrangement and understanding will collapse. Like if South Korea and Japan do not help, then the entire alliance will be broken. So, and then South Korea and Japan will be alone. Then they will be condemned into a situation that they must work with China in the future after the war ends, because China will win the war. United States can't fight alone. If they fight alone, then China will likely win the war because they are nearer, right? So unless United States go into full world war situation, then of course Japan, South Korea, and which did not answer the call, will be punished severely in the event that United States actually wins the war. So this test of resolve, just by China invading Taiwan, will bring chaos into geopolitics, into diplomacy in the entire Asia Pacific region. Every country will be forced into making this freaking difficult decision, because they make the wrong decision and the side that they did not help out or side with wins the war, you'll be in deep shit. So that will be difficult. So this is the projection. So currently it's at 50%, because it's a huge risk, China to invade Taiwan. For China themselves, is a huge risk, because once they do it, it literally means that they are burning the bridges. There will be no way back. It will be either they win, collapse US hegemony entirely, to destroy US leadership entirely, or China will go into chaos and potential civil war if they lose the war. So no, and the Chinese Communist Party may be overthrown. So it's a huge gamble. That's why it's a 50%. And it's important to note, it wasn't as high at all. It was probably maybe 5%, because I haven't done this thing before that. So it's probably a very, very low, between 1 to 5%. It's a very, very low odds. Now it's at 50%. It's a massive rise. And as the things continue to develop, this number might increase. So I will continue to update the page. And so I hope this is interesting to you guys. And if you guys want to see more of this kind of projections and macro geopolitics analysis, let me know. I would love to do more, because this is my passion. So thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe. Happy birthday to those birthday today, and I'll see you guys in the next update.